Hey everybody! Welcome to another exciting episode where we explore the fascinating stories of our world. Tonight, we're going to talk about a country that's been through a lot. Zimbabwe. This nation has a rich history and a complex present. It's located in southern Africa, right above South Africa, nestled between Mozambique, Botswana and Zambia. Now, Zimbabwe wasn't always struggling. In fact, it has a storied past filled with prosperity and promise. It used to be called the Jewel of Africa, a title that reflected its natural beauty and economic potential. Seriously, that wasn't just a nickname made up by Zimbabwe's tourism board. It was genuinely admired for its stunning landscapes and vibrant culture. It was known for its amazing wildlife, beautiful landscapes and rich biodiversity that attracted tourists from all over the world. And let's not forget, it had a pretty strong economy, at least for a while. The markets were bustling and the currency was stable. After gaining independence in 1980, Zimbabwe was looking good. It had fertile land, a decent education system, and a promising future. Things were hopeful. People were optimistic. The future looked bright. The people were filled with hope and dreams of a prosperous nation. But then, things took a turn. Political unrest and economic challenges began to surface. This is where the story gets complicated and, frankly, a little depressing. The once thriving market started to empty and businesses began to close. You see, Zimbabwe's economic downfall is a tale of bad decisions, corruption and mismanagement at the highest levels of government. And hyperinflation so bad it makes your head spin. Imagine prices doubling overnight, making everyday life a struggle. Buckle up, folks, because we're diving into the wild world of Zimbabwe's economic collapse. It's a story of resilience, struggle, and the hope for a better future. One of the biggest turning points in Zimbabwe's story was land reform. Now, on paper, land reform sounds great. It's about redistributing land from a small group of wealthy, mostly white landowners to black farmers who were disadvantaged under colonial rule. Sounds fair, right? The problem was how Zimbabwe went about it. The government started seizing land from white farmers, often with violence and intimidation. This caused chaos in the agricultural sector, which was a huge part of Zimbabwe's economy. Imagine a bunch of people who'd never run a farm before suddenly being handed the keys to the country's breadbasket. It was a recipe for disaster. Production plummeted, exports dried up. And Zimbabwe, once a breadbasket, started relying on food aid. It was a stark warning of how good intentions, poorly executed, can have devastating consequences. Okay, now let's talk about hyperinflation, which is basically economics gone wild. Imagine going to the store one day and a loaf of bread costs $1. Then the next day it costs $10. The next week it's $100. And then a few days later it's $1 million. That's what happened in Zimbabwe. The government, led by President Robert Mugabe, started printing money like it was going out of style. They wanted to pay off debts, fund government programs, and basically keep the lights on. But printing more money just devalued the Zimbabwean dollar faster and faster. People were carrying around bags of cash just to buy groceries. The situation was so absurd that Zimbabwe became a cautionary tale for what happens when a government completely loses control of its economy. You can't talk about Zimbabwe's economic collapse without talking about Robert Mugabe. He was a complex figure, a hero of the independence movement who became increasingly authoritarian during his long rule. Mugabe's policies, like the chaotic land reform and reckless money printing, played a major role in the economic meltdown. He also cracked down on dissent, rigged elections, and basically turned Zimbabwe into a one-party state. Now, I know what you're thinking. This sounds like a classic case of a leader gone power-hungry, right? And you wouldn't be wrong. But it's important to remember that many Zimbabweans initially supported Mugabe. They saw him as a liberator who would bring equality and prosperity. It was only later that his true colors and the devastating consequences of his actions became clear. Section 5. Empty plates and broken dreams, life in the shadow of collapse. So what did this economic chaos mean for everyday Zimbabweans? In a word, suffering. The unemployment rate skyrocketed, leaving countless individuals without a means to support themselves or their families. People who had worked hard their entire lives suddenly found themselves jobless and unable to provide for their families. The sense of despair was palpable. as dreams were shattered and futures became uncertain. Remember that hyperinflation we talked about? It wasn't just an economic term, it was a daily nightmare for the people. It meant that people's savings became worthless overnight. Imagine the frustration and helplessness of seeing your hard-earned money turn into mere paper. Imagine working your whole life, putting money aside for retirement, and then, poof, it's all gone. The security you thought you had for your golden years vanished in an instant. It's gone, just like that. The emotional toll was immense, leaving many in a state of shock and disbelief. People couldn't afford basic necessities like food, medicine, or even bus fare. The healthcare system crumbled under the weight of the crisis, leaving many without access to essential services. Schools struggled to stay open. Education, a beacon of hope for many, was disrupted, affecting the future of countless children. It was a humanitarian crisis of epic proportions. The scale of suffering was unimaginable, with people lining up for hours just to get a meal. Zimbabwe's story isn't just about numbers on a graph or economic theories, it's about the real, tangible impact on human lives. It's about real people whose lives were turned upside down by forces beyond their control. Communities came together, trying to support each other in any way they could. It's a reminder that behind every economic indicator there's a human face, a family struggling to survive. Despite the hardships, the resilience and hope of the Zimbabwean people shone through. Section 6. Tendai's story from teacher to trader. Let me tell you about Tendai. She was a dedicated teacher in Harare, Zimbabwe's bustling capital city. She loved her job, she was passionate about education, and she was good at it. Her students adored her, and she found immense joy in shaping young minds. But then the economy tanked. The country was plunged into a severe economic crisis. Tendai's salary, like everyone else's, became practically worthless because of the hyperinflation. The money she earned could no longer buy even the most basic necessities. She couldn't afford to live on a teacher's salary anymore. Prices for everyday items skyrocketed, making it impossible to sustain her family. So Tendai did what a lot of Zimbabweans had to do. She adapted. She had to find a way to survive in this new, harsh reality. She started selling goods on the street, anything she could get her hands on, vegetables, fruits, and other essentials. Clothes, imported snacks, and even small household items. She became a trader out of necessity. It wasn't easy, and it wasn't what she'd dreamed of doing, but it allowed her to put food on the table for her family. Every day was a struggle, but she persevered. Tendai's story is just one of millions. Many Zimbabweans have similar tales of hardship and resilience. It's a story of resilience, of the human spirit's ability to adapt and survive, even in the face of extraordinary challenges. It's about finding strength in adversity, but it's also a story of loss, of dreams deferred, and of the heavy toll that economic collapse takes on ordinary people. It's a reminder of the fragility of stability and the enduring power of hope. Section 7. The Exodus, seeking hope beyond the borders. As the situation in Zimbabwe worsened, millions of people made the heartbreaking decision to leave their homes and seek opportunities elsewhere. They crossed borders into neighboring countries like South Africa, Botswana, and Zambia, often facing discrimination and xenophobia. These weren't just farmers or laborers. They were doctors, teachers, engineers, skilled professionals who saw no future for themselves or their children in Zimbabwe. The brain drain was another devastating consequence of the economic collapse. It robbed Zimbabwe of its best and brightest, leaving the country even more depleted. The Zimbabwean diaspora, scattered across the globe, became a testament to the country's lost potential. It was a stark reminder that when a nation's economy crumbles, it's not just GDP and inflation rates that suffer. It's people, families, and entire communities who are torn apart. Section 8. Lessons from the Ruins, a cautionary tale for the world. So, what can we learn from Zimbabwe's economic meltdown? What lessons can we take from this cautionary tale? First, economic stability is fragile. It requires sound policies, responsible leadership, and a commitment to the rule of law. When those things erode, the consequences can be catastrophic. Second, hyperinflation is a nightmare. Printing money might seem like an easy solution to economic problems, but it's a slippery slope that can quickly spiral out of control. And finally, behind every economic indicator, there are real people with real lives. Economic policies aren't just abstract theories. They have a direct impact on people's ability to put food on the table, educate their children, and live with dignity. Zimbabwe's story is a sobering reminder that economic progress is not guaranteed. It's something that must be nurtured, protected, and never taken for granted. Section 9. A glimmer of hope. Can Zimbabwe rise again? Zimbabwe's story is not over yet. Despite the challenges, the Zimbabwean people are known for their resilience, their warmth, and their determination. There have been some glimmers of hope in recent years. A new government has taken over, promising reforms and a fresh start. The economy has shown some signs of stabilization, although the road to recovery is long and uncertain. The world is watching to see if Zimbabwe can learn from its past mistakes and build a brighter future for its people. The challenges are immense, but so is the potential of this resilient nation. If Zimbabwe can overcome its past and forge a new path forward, it will be a testament to the enduring human spirit and the power of hope, even in the face of adversity.